RWBY is OP. Must nerf next volume. Hello YouTube, I'm Darkest101 and welcome back to Double Dip December. Yes, the Darksiders reviews did kind of fuck up my timescale a little bit, but you know, them's the breaks, I guess. Anyway, let's fucking get on with it, shall we? We're reviewing RWBY. RWBY, the Rooster Teeth anime-style web series. I reviewed the first volume of RWBY all the way back in March for Anime Month, and now, for Double Dip December, we're going back for rounds 2 and 3. My opinion of the first volume was kind of mixed, liking the characters, the world, the setup and the humour, but believing the execution left a little to be desired. So, let's see what volume 2 has to offer then. The animation style has improved a bit since the last volume. I mean, it's not a noticeable improvement, but the models do have a smoother rig and animation when they're flying through the air. Honestly, there's not a whole lot I can say about the animation here. It's the same as it was last time, just a little bit smoother. The fight scenes look a hell of a lot more awesome in this volume though, and there are a few more of them to be sure. However, that is the least of what makes volume 2 a huge improvement over the last one. There was actual character in this volume! In the first volume the characters were sort of meh. They didn't gel very well, they weren't that interesting to be honest, and they weren't that fun for the most part. There was also this weird balance between the 8 main protagonists where Team Juniper got more attention than Team RWBY in my opinion. In the second volume however, not only did he manage to really integrate 3 new heroes into the main roster, bringing the total up to 11, but they made each of the characters a hell of a lot more entertaining and badass than they did before. And the way they all bounced off of one another, played off of each other's personalities, I actually believed this group of people were friends. And oh my god, Team RWBY was on fire this time around. Team RWBY was kind of shunted aside in the previous volume, but this time around there's no denying that they're the actual focus of the story. And why is that, I hear you ask? Because the writers got their thumbs out of their asses and actually started writing a goddamn story. Oh sure, there's still plenty of typical school life anime stuff that's going on in the background, but it all fits into the main plot this time. There's no detours that don't add anything, and even if it doesn't add a whole lot to the story, it adds fuck tons to these characters. And the humour in this volume, it's just off the fucking chain. I mean, the second half of RWBY Volume 1 was pretty funny, but this time around it just goes fucking mental with a laugh. Rooster Teeth finally got the sense of humour in this world off the ground, and hot diggity damn does it make this volume much more entertaining. The humour however doesn't detract from the serious moments that the volume throws our way as well. When this series wants to be, it can be touching, when it wants to be dramatic it will be, and when this series wants to lay down the foundation of a plot, it'll take 2 freaking volumes to get to whatever the hell this Vital Festival they keep talking about is. Seriously, I know they want to build up this whole Vital Festival thing, but considering the shit that is going on in the background, do we really have time for this shit? And finally we come to the bad guys. While the previous volume kept the majority of its villains in shadow, preferring to keep the limelight on Torchwick, this time around we get introduced to the rest of the operation. While Mercury and Emerald didn't get a proper chance to shine in this volume, Cinder and Torchwick steal the goddamn show. Torchwick is a perfect underhanded con artist and strong with the pimp cane. It's like a utility cane, fashion and so many functions, I fucking love it. And while we're still in the dark about what Cinder wants, she just oozes evil, doesn't she? The main feeling I'm getting out of RWBY Volume 2, however, is the series is starting to feel a lot like Game of Thrones, you know? There's so many characters to love and remember here, but there's also so many things to keep in mind, like a mounting tension between the 4 kingdoms, enemies lurking pretty much everywhere, the whole racial divide thing going on with the Faunus and humans, so many goddamn ships that there's not enough boats for all of them, and of course, the ever-present threat of the Grimm. The Grimm have a very sort of White Walkers feel to them, is what I'm getting at. Yes, we do have very real villains in people like Torchwick and Cinder and that sort of thing, but at the same time, The Grimm are the real big bad enemy that everyone seems to forget about. Story-wise, there's a lot to go into in any real depth, as it's told very sort of episodically. There is a flowing narrative here, but it definitely feels chunked, which is understandable because it was made from 12-15 minute episodes. But that's only if you watched it in a single movie, like I did. Which, hey, not a bad suggestion. It is really hard to do justice to a plot like RWBY in my typical butcher the plot summary style, because there's so many sort of minute character moments that make the story a lot more interesting and the volume a lot more entertaining to watch. So me going through every one of them is just going to be boring and kind of slow. The second volume follows up from the events of the first, with Team RWBY investigating the activities of the White Fang and Torchwick, as Torchwick's patrons infiltrate Beacon Academy under the pretense of competing in the Vital Festival tournament. There's also a very nice, very sort of fluffy dance they all hunt end about halfway through, before they're all sent off on their very first mission as huntresses and huntsmen. And honestly, the section where they go out beyond the walls of the city is the best part of the volume and the series so far. There's no huge fight between Team RWBY and two giant Grimm, but it is what we wanted to see from the start. Allow me to make my case using Soul Eater as a point of comparison. In Soul Eater, we know that these meisters and weapons, they're at a school. It's the DWMA, it's an academy. But they also know to splice up the school life shit with actual kitchen hunting badassery. In RWBY, yeah, they fight and yeah, there are action scenes, but the majority of them are against other humans or faunas, not the big giant Grimm they're being trained to fight in the first place. I get world building, yes, I understand that, but this has been building the world for 2 volumes now. We need to get the actual adventure rolling at this point. Anyway, Team RWBY stumble upon an underground tunnel network heading back to the kingdom, being run by Torchwick. They board a train, have a big fight against the White Fang, but ultimately the train crashes into the city, releasing a bunch of Grimm on the streets. The day is saved, however, and Torchwick is put in custody. This, however, is clearly far from over. If this is going to be another Blood Gulch Chronicles where they spend 5 seasons getting to the bloody point, I'm going to be very annoyed. After the rather mixed reception of the first volume, I'm glad I decided to sit down and give RWBY a second chance, because I really do like the characters and the world and the whole concept of the series. I especially love how these characters are building their relationship up, and just general humour of everything, and fuck it, I'm hooked, I love the series. There's just a few issues that I really have. There's just the fact I really have an issue that they still haven't really got to the main story yet. I mean, the foundations for a plot have definitely been laid, but I just wish there wasn't a sort of vagueness about it. I wish there was a definite sense of where the series was going. But it's still nice to see the foundations of a story, and it's nice to see everyone's character arcs have been set up for future volumes. As it stands, however, RWBY Volume 2 gets a rating of 82.
Aren't libraries for reading?
Thank you!
And that was my review of RWBY Volume 2. Don't go anywhere, because up next we should be having our review of RWBY Volume 3. But as always, I've been Darkest101. Thank you for watching Double Dip December on Darkest101 Reviews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later, YouTube.